You are listening to episode 99 of Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about a console you should pick up, games you should play on it, and all this for under $200 in this week's Starter Kit Showdown.
So, leading up to the PlayStation 5, we decided to go ahead and look at all of the consoles that have been released by Sony. Not all of them, but, PlayStation 1,
The
2,
numbered ones.
The numbered ones. So, PS1, 2, 3, and 4. And then, of course, just before the PlayStation 5 launches. So, this week, we've got the PlayStation 3 for our Starter Kit Showdown.
We're going to see which one of us, me or John, can build a better list. Now, if you've never been into collecting games before, and you're like, man, with all these new consoles coming out, they're going to be so expensive. I mean, I already missed the pre-order for everything in the world because bots suck and the internet is a terrible place. You might be thinking to yourself, well, what if I want to play some games now? Well, for $200, we're going to show you how you can start your own collection on the PS3.
Exactly. And then, of course, catch our previous episodes on this. We did PlayStation 1 and 2 before. You can find those on Podbean, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere podcasts are found. And, of course, you can find our social media posts on this on not LinkedIn. I was about to say LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn all week. Facebook, at The Game Deflators. Instagram, at The Game Deflators. And Twitter, Game Deflators. So, check us out on there. And, of course, let us know what you think about the episode.
Also, let us know if you think that the Google Play Music moving over to that new Google Podcast app is weird. Like, it's been telling us it's going to transition forever, and now that it's getting closer, they finally have, like, the list. Like, I thought it was not going to have, like, subscriptions or, like, your list of podcasts you follow, because for the last 2 months it didn't, and I was like, well, the future of podcasting here looks bleak, but I think that they might have fixed that, so If you listen to us there, that's where I listen to my podcast too.
Yeah, I usually use Podbean or Podcast Addict whenever I listen to podcasts, or oddly enough, I just go directly to the website and check that out. And speaking of websites, you can find us at thegamedeflators.com. Okay, so as always, let's go ahead and talk about our recent pickups, what we're currently playing, and then I understand you have a PlayStation trivia question for me this week. So we'll get into that in a little bit. And of course, we have to talk about the Bethesda acquisition by Microsoft and what that means for Sony moving forward, as well as the gaming industry. So we'll cover a little bit about that as well. We don't want to be lost out on that. So, Ryan, let's go ahead and start with you on recent pickups.
I got totally shafted this week, John. I tried to go online on the 22nd, at the right time in the morning, to see if there was any way that I could possibly get my hands on a Series S through All Access. And I had no luck. Like, I wasn't...
I thought these were in person, like you had to go into a Best Buy or into a GameStop.
I literally drove up to the Best Buy, up the street from you, on Monday night, to ask somebody because they wouldn't answer. I called 4 Best Buys and none of them would answer the phone.
No, it sends you like straight to a customer service line and it just rings and rings and rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
stupid.
I drove all the way up to the store over by you here, up at Superstition, and then I went in and the guy, I don't think he had any idea what I was really talking about, but he was radioing somebody over the walkie, and it makes sense, like especially in the wake of like the announcement this week that GameStop is going to get its own set of PS5s for in-store pre-order only. That's a cool thing. That's kind of what I was hoping to do here, except not with the PS5. But it was the same thing. Like, all the sites went down. I actually got in the queue for GameStop's website.
Wait, they had a queue?
Yeah, like when you try to go to GameStop's website, it was this black screen with like the Series X and Series S and a bunch of type, and it was like, hang out, it's cool, don't refresh the page, you're in a queue. If you refresh, you'll go back to the end of the line again, so just hang out here, it'll all be good. So I hung out there, and by the time I got in, I wasn't able to, like, I don't know if the all access thing is just not not something I saw the option for, or if those all got taken first anyways and I just couldn't see it because I was on.
Why don't you go to the Microsoft store?
I went to like everything that was on the list. Like I tried getting into Microsoft, I couldn't get through to their website at all. It just wouldn't connect.
Like, I mean, the actual store out in Chandler.
Because that's at the mall, and the mall wasn't gonna be like, I wasn't gonna go into the mall at 8 a.m. That wasn't gonna be a thing that happened.
You should have.
The mall wouldn't be open.
The mall's not open at 8 a.m.?
No.
Huh. This really is Arizona. Okay.
Why would the mall be open? Anyways.
I don't know.
So I'll have to wait. I'm just going to squirrel some money aside. And after we were just talking earlier today, like, I definitely think the Series S is the way to go. I definitely think I'm just going to use it as like a Game Pass machine, because looking at those new memory cards that they have coming out for that, $220, that's like almost the price of the Series S. Like, you'll be able to get a used Series S for the price of one of those memory cards in a couple of years.
Yeah, but I mean, that memory card is priced about right, because if you look at like new NVMe hard drives, like SSDs that go into computers, I mean, an NVMe is like, for a 400 gigabyte, you're looking at like $99 to $120.
I'm not saying that
like, it's actually a good deal.
I'm not saying that it's not priced correctly. I'm just saying, like, in proportion to the console itself, it's ridiculous. It's like back in the day, like buying, Memory Stick Pro Duos.
Yeah.
Like, you could get a game or you could get a memory card. But in this case, you could get a memory card or you could get
a console.
4 games.
Yeah. Well, 3.
3 games.
3 games now, if that. I get it. And one of the things I told you, obviously, was like, it depends on what you're looking to do, right? So if you're an individual who's going to consistently save their games, go back to games, and you want to hold that data, then yeah, you're going to need like some sort of memory card and some way to hold that. But if you're just like one and done, hey, I've got my game, I'm going to go ahead and beat it, and when I'm finished, I'm deleting it and moving to the next, and I'm never going to touch that again, then a Series S is obviously the way to go.
And you can always save your data on a regular drive. Like,
exactly.
It doesn't have to be one of those drives to just off-put your save data.
Yeah, and
so if you want to just delete the games off your console and just install them when you feel like playing them again, you can have like 2 or 3 games, maybe 4 games, depending on their size. Like, if there's a bunch of indie games, you could probably have like, a decent sized collection. Like, the Switch doesn't have infinite data on it, but like, I'm sure there's people that have a lot more games on their Switch than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I've got quite a bit on the Switch as well from what I've installed updates for and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure about the compatibility component on the Series S or Series X with SSDs that are out there, like third party.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's something about the speed that this SSD runs at is compatible with like the internals, so there would be no issues. But like, I think that I was reading something about like most other SSDs that are like external drives are not going to be able to run fast enough to keep up. So it's like, you wouldn't be able to just run the game off of the chip. But like, having the games like saved onto that chip means you could just like plug it in and essentially just play that game.
Yeah, it makes me wonder though, like, say you wanted to go back to a game, and again, I don't know the full like compatibility component, like what's compatible in terms of third party and what's not. But what if you did have the ability to just say, hey, I'm going to take this game, put my save data on this SSD externally for a bit, and then whenever I want to go back to it, I'll load it back up. Like, I did that. Now, realize I did it with my PlayStation 3, but I have all of my old games on a thumb drive. So if I ever want to, I can quickly just transfer the data back onto the console's hard drive and play them, not directly from the USB, but just having the data housed there. So I do wonder if you can do that with the Series X and the PlayStation 5 down the road. I'm sure you will be able to down the road if you can't do it now.
Well, and I'm sure down the road the price of these things hopefully will go down. I know that wasn't very true of the Memory Stick Duo, but it would be nice if, enough people buy the console and they're successful enough with the sales of these that, they show, hey, we could probably get a lot more sales if we drop these like $50, $150 is a lot more reasonable than $220. So once we get to that point, I'm sure it'll be worth ponying up if you just can't stand be installing and uninstalling. It just depends on how frequently, like, if you're only going to be playing like Madden and Fortnite It's perfect. You don't even need, why even waste that extra money?
Yeah, it's funny though, you mentioned like the discounted rates and knocking stuff off. I was reading that apparently the Xbox, I think it was the Series S, is already like $30 discounted in Japan, which doesn't surprise me if it is.
If it's region free, maybe I should order one from Japan.
It probably is region free, to be honest, but I mean, you got to consider the international shipping and whatnot on that.
Fine, I'm going back to Japan.
Going back just to get a Series S, eat some sushi, and then come back home.
Right.
That's all you're going to do. Yeah, so you got screwed over on pickups, obviously.
Yes.
I did not, because...
If you're out there listening and you got one, I am not mad at you. I humbly congratulate you.
He's just jealous, that's all. So I picked up Dragon Quest Heroes 2 on the PlayStation 4 Explorers Edition through Amazon. I was randomly looking at my shelf, saw Dragon Quest Heroes, and said, I don't have number 2. What's it going for now? So brand new, $12. Like, not bad at all. It'll sit on my shelf for God knows how long until I decide to go into those games. I haven't heard too much about them in the past. It's just...
The Heroes games specifically?
Yeah, the Heroes games specifically. So...
I think they're like multiplayer.
I think they are, but through web. I don't think they're local multiplayer.
No, yeah. But I think it's like an open world kind of like... I don't know if it's necessarily like a Final Fantasy 14 online kind of situation or what.
Yeah, I don't know. At some point I'll get to it. And yeah, I was just talking to somebody else the other day about this on a thread. And his whole thing actually was one of our threads actually on Facebook. And so I had brought up like, yeah, I like to pick up my games for X price. Like I'll pick them up cheap, like the last generation. So like I'm going to be buying a lot of PS4 games and PS3 games right now versus like PlayStation 2 and 1. And usually I'll do that for new consoles as well. So like I'm going to wait a year, most likely, for the PS5, wait for a lot of those AAA titles to be like under $20. And it was based on Plague Tale, because I had posted on there like, Plague Tale is a great game, and I'll get into that in a minute. And you should definitely pick it up. Not calling it a hidden gem because we're not Metal Jesus on here, but it's a, I wouldn't say undiscovered title, but it's very underrated. And so the guy was like, oh, I'll wait for it to be cheaper. I'm like, well, I mean, how cheap are you waiting for it to get? Like, it's going to get to a point where you're probably not going to get it for $10. Like, it's $17 used right now on like eBay. Pick it up on eBay for $17, even if it sits on your shelf. It's highly unlikely that game goes below $10. So there's like certain titles that you just pick up. So Dragon Quest Heroes was one of those, because I'm like, it's $12. Is it honestly even if I got a used copy, 4 years from now for $8 or something, or $10, is it really worth the wait for $3 to not pick it up now brand new?
I mean, sometimes it's that's what the inflation deflation is all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it worth waiting that extra time? Because like you could be an average collector, you could be a frugal collector, or you could just be the goat. But
I'm not the goat.
Gotta wait.
I'm not the goat. That's
goat's
for
gotta
sure.
be patient.
And then the other thing I got was a new mini for D&D. So my barbarian character, to jump into that a little bit, is amazing. Like, I didn't realize how fun it was to play a barbarian, but I've got Zealot, and then our DM has allowed us to get like certain magic items. And for me, I have a Warhammer that has lightning. So every time I attack with it, I get to do extra, like 1d4 extra lightning damage. And so right now, my character, we battled an ancient dragon the other day with a large party. And my character doled out, God, man, in excess of like 70 to 80 points of damage at level 8 as a barbarian. Like, so between my standard attacks, my weapon master, whenever I use that, my zealot attack, and like all these things combined, it's like 80 damage.
Damn.
It was insane. It helped that I also had haste on, that somebody gave me a haste potion. So that like completely screwed every enemy over. It was fantastic. So I got a new mini for that. It's not to my vision of what my character would be, but everybody else has one, and the character I had a mini for before is currently in jail in the campaign, so I kind of can't use him. So it's whatevs. But that was my pickups. And then currently playing, Cameo is of course still on the list of currently playing. I haven't gotten to it in about a week or so, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Wow, John.
But
wow.
Hey, you know what? It's a game that I play with my wife, and we just haven't played. We've been busy. You know what? I got her into watching The Boys recently on Amazon because she hadn't seen it. So we've been binging that.
That's okay. I'm just teasing. Like I said, I haven't played Persona in like 6 months now, probably.
Yeah, you should probably get to that.
Maybe 5 months.
You've got literally like 3 months total.
Well, finish you're currently playing, and then I'll get into that.
Okay. So I am now playing Quest Arrest by John Rue of the Rue Room. Dude, this game it's kind of hilarious in a way. It's like the same type of build as Pokemon. So you are a police officer and you hear about this major crime syndicate, and to try and build like reputation, you're supposed to, do your arrest as a lawful, cop. And so you go into these battles. It's like, hey, there's this bum over there, and he's like, do you have some spare change? So I go up and I'm like, no, I don't have any spare change. But then there's like an option like ignore or confront. So I confront him, and it just spins off with some music, and it's got the Pokemon bar underneath. Not that deep in the music. He would probably get in trouble if he did that one. But it's got like the same bar. So it's like tase, pepper spray, some other thing, and then arrest. And like the bum is like attacking you. He's like, the bum is restless, and he goes to attack you, and you get damage dealt to yourself. And then you have to hit him, and you have the arrest option. And if the bum struggles, he deals damage to himself in the process, so you can arrest him. So, dude, I mean, it's hilarious. And so at some point, like after it's done, it says if you kill, somebody you're trying to arrest, you lose reputation and you become a bad cop. So you have like the bad cop, good cop situation. You can kind of choose your path on how it goes. I'm just totally stoked to play this and see how it ends up. Like, it's actually pretty cool, like how he's built this whole thing out. So that, and then of course I've got the nice little original Game Boy box signed by John Rue, and it's pretty badass, dude. Like, I think it's a cool piece to have in the collection. So that, and then I beat Plague Tale. So Plague Tale was absolutely phenomenal. I have screenshots on Instagram and Facebook, and I think Twitter. So you could check those out on those social channels. And it's definitely a pickup for sure. Like, I think it's on the PC, Xbox One, and the PlayStation 4, obviously. So if you have any of those ways to play games and you see Plague Tale on your available games to purchase, or it comes across your way, definitely pick that one up. I had a lot of fun. It's super story driven. You obviously have mechanics that are pretty cool to the overall story, like your slingshot and different alchemist type abilities throughout. But the whole concept of being in like this plague, and spoiler alert here for anybody, so being in this plague and then having a brother who's got like this blood that's connected to the plague and what's happening with these rats all over the place, and his ability to control them, and it's unbelievable how it all plays out. And I truly enjoyed it. So I would honestly give this game like easily a 9 to a 10 out of 10 with how good I felt it was. So that is all my currently playing. That is all my current pickups. Ryan, we need to hear what you are currently playing.
Okay. So I've been playing more Ghosts of Tsushima. I am full Ghost. I can sneak into a camp, dodge deftly between tall grass, under buildings, on top of roofs, and slay everybody in my sight without getting detected. Sometimes. And then if they do spot me, usually...
You run away and go in tall grass.
No, usually I do pretty well. Like, I'm starting to get a handle for the lethal mode. My parrying skills have gone up a lot more. I tried to do the Curse of Uchitsune or something, the bow. You get the long bow and you get the explosive arrows. Could not beat that duel.
Dude, that duel was a bitch.
Like, he just charged me and killed me in like 2 hits every time, and it's like, man, no matter how much I tried to react, I just couldn't do it, so I had to quit out.
But you have like, what is it, bats or leaves or something like spinning around.
Yeah, there's like
entire...
a bunch of crows. He's a Tengu demon.
Yeah, that's right. The crows. Flipping amazing, dude. Like, that battle was
it's gorgeous, but I had to quit out, so I haven't been able to finish that. I got the grappling hook, and
you need to get the longbow though.
Yeah, so this is the thing. I've got to start playing Persona. Everybody who's new here, thanks you for joining us. I'm Ryan. I'm terrible at finishing games, and for this year's New Games resolution, I chose to do Persona 4 Golden.
It's a terrible decision on Ryan's part.
I played about 12 hours of it and then have not touched it since like probably April. So I've really got to do that because I got to finish that by the end of the year. So what I've decided is that I will finish this like first tale. Like now that I got the grappling hook, I think like the next mission or something will like finish this tale. So once I'm done with that, put it back in its box. I'm going to put Dark Souls back in its box. I'm going to bring both of those back to John's house. And I'm just going to focus on Persona and the new awesome looking update for Animal Crossing leading up to Halloween. I have been neglecting my island for so long, and with Halloween right around the corner, I think they deserve the treat of me coming home.
Oh shit, I was just looking at my shelf. You do have my copy of Dark Souls 3.
Yes, I do.
I was wondering where that went. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Brian has it, but I can't confirm.
Can confirm.
Can confirm now, yeah. Well, I'd say I'm disappointed, but you are going to start playing Persona, so...
It needs to be done.
I can't be that disappointed. Dude, I think it's hilarious how we set up these challenges. And it's like, you got to beat one game a year, at least.
Yep.
So...
And, man, it's just like Ghost of Tsushima is really fun, but I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, I'm like riding around on my horse. I'm trying to fill in the map, just like blank areas on the map and just pick up flowers. And I've got like 60 flowers and nothing I want to buy with them. Like, and I'm still only on the first island and I'm just looking at all this stuff and I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much stuff to do. Like I could spend the rest of my life playing this one game probably.
That's why I told you, man, like beat the first mission. Like, I mean, not the first mission, but the first arc of the story. Yeah. It opens everything up. You'll see all of the different missions that you can do, like all the camps appear and everything. And then just do the main missions, like get the story done at least.
It's fun wandering around.
Oh like, yeah, it totally
really
is.
Reminds me of like, those are some of my favorite times like in Red Dead, was just kind of like wandering around and doing stuff in the world, not necessarily just going from mission to mission, because sometimes it feels like you don't stop to smell the roses.
Yeah.
In these kind of games, like when you just go from waypoint to waypoint. So I like to take that, like, you know, road less traveled and try to see different things and climb different things, but it's like it just adds so much playtime to what is already a long experience. So it's tough for me to get through those big long games like that, especially the open world ones.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I generally try to stay away from them because I fall into that trap, exactly that trap of exploring a world and going like super deep into it and spending hours upon hours. Like, dude, Fallout is a series that I need to just stay away from. Like, I will get so entrapped in discovering everything that I possibly can and unlocking everything on the map. Like, when I found the Nuka-Cola plant the first time in Fallout 3, it was a blast. Like, I just could not stop playing that. Yeah, so, yeah, literally. So, yeah, I totally see where you're coming from, and it'll still be here waiting for you to finish up later on.
Exactly.
Yeah. In Dark Souls 3, you got to beat it. Eventually. Okay. So, before we jump into our Bethesda article and then our collecting of the PlayStation 3, trivia time. What do you got for me? Let's unload it. Let's see how I fail. Which, speaking of trivia, our episode 100 is going to be pretty cool. We're looking to have multiple podcasters on to do a trivia showdown of last podcast standing for gaming. Should be pretty cool. So we'll be joined. We'll see. I'm waiting to get some confirmations, but we're going to have the Nerd Cave Network. We've got our friends over at Grief Burrito jumping in. And then I am waiting for confirmation on the Next to Nothing podcast. It'll likely be Mr. Green Elite that's on there. And then potentially Church or Jason from the game Tenets. And we'll see how those invitations are accepted this week. And we'll go from there. What's my trivia question?
All right, John. This spiky-haired businessman with an acumen for the martial arts notoriously threw his own family member off of a cliff and was in turn thrown off of a cliff. And I think somebody else, I think there's been like 3 cliff throwings. Name that spiky-haired villain.
Spiky-haired villain?
Spiky-haired villain, businessman, martial artist.
I keep thinking Tekken for the dumbest reason. It's not Tekken. It can't be. All right, give me a clue. What genre are we talking about here?
It is Tekken.
Oh shit, it is. It is Tekken. Oh my god, Spikey Haired. Heihachi?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not a big fighting game person. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really either, but like we are doing PlayStation again this week, so I figured some PlayStation centered trivia would probably be pretty good to get us going.
yeah, original games on PlayStation
And I mean, he's a legendary character. Like he's been in Soul Calibur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. He has been on there.
Guest appearance.
God, I was thinking when you said martial arts, I was thinking martial law, like or law. Yeah, right. That was the first thing, and then Paul popped into my head too. I'm like, what? No, like that's not. He's not a villain, so that worked out. Okay, Heihachi, gotta love him. Okay, so our last thing that we'll talk about here before we jump into the collecting episode. Dude, Microsoft acquiring Bethesda.
Yes.
Yeah, well, not just Bethesda, but I think it's ZeniMax is the parent studio, and $7.5 billion tied to that.
Gosh, what a sale.
Look, if you can't make exclusives, buy exclusives.
Yeah.
Like, that's really Microsoft's motto at this point. And not to say they don't have any exclusives, because they do have some good exclusives out there. I think Lost Odyssey would be a good example of that. Halo would be a good example. I wouldn't say Alan Wake, but Alan Wake was on there. You had Blue Dragon, the first Blue Dragon. So they have a number of games over the years that have been exclusive, but they never have caught on, or they have caught on, they've been kind of cult classics, or they're just so limited to, obviously
they're
Xbox.
They're not like console movers the way that you look at Sony and exclusives Nintendo as console movers.
Exactly. It's more like, here's some really top tier games. You come here to play like these awesome games on the Xbox, and I totally get it. But Sony just, over the years, has done such a better job at marketing their premier titles versus we're getting however many Halos a year, however many Gears of War every year. Like, it's consistently becoming to where it's like, it's not something to look forward to versus Sony is always developing new IPs. And so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out because, while the Elder Scrolls series is very recognizable and like a lot of people play these over the years, games like, I think, was it Morrowind? I think was exclusive to PC and Xbox. I don't think that was ever on the PlayStation 2. If I don't recall it being on there.
I think Oblivion was the first Elder Scrolls on a console.
No, Morrowind, number 3, because I have it on Xbox.
Oh.
Yeah, so, actually, hold on one sec. Where's my Elder Scrolls?
Is it the Elder Scrolls?
I think. I don't know.
No, it's not over there.
Yeah.
You just don't have very many Xbox games out.
Oh, here it is. The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. It doesn't say exclusive, but I want to say
I've got a Google box.
I think because it's on PC, it wouldn't technically be exclusive at that time, so that might be it. But regardless, with those games having been multi-plat since Oblivion, really, it does kind of make me question, like, what are Microsoft's motives here?
Just Xbox Windows.
Yeah. So with the whole acquisition, right? And we've heard multiple things. Like, there are certain games that'll be either timed or exclusive to the PlayStation 5 because those deals already existed.
Tokyo Ghostwire and the Loop one.
Yeah. Deathloop. Yeah. So...
and Deathloop looks cool. I'm still not that... I don't know. No. We'll see what happens with Tokyo Ghostwire next time. The first trailer was great. The second trailer I wasn't super excited about. So
exactly. Like, those are two games I looked at. I'm like, they're cool, but they're not, like, super cool.
They're not anything that I, as purchasing an Xbox first person, am going to miss.
Yeah.
They look cool, but, I mean, those are games that I could go and play 10 years from now and probably be just as good as playing them day one.
Yeah, and then here's the thing, though. Like, we've heard multiple things of like, oh, well, certain games are going to be exclusive to Xbox, and then we've also heard certain Xbox games down the road through Bethesda are going to be case-by-case basis on other consoles. Mm-hmm. So when you leave the door open for that, it does make you wonder, like, yeah, Microsoft has a lot of liquid cash on hand. They could purchase Sony, I think, for God's sakes, even though I don't think they would, because I think Sony is because they're a Japanese organization with like trade secrets, and I think they have military deals and such. I don't think that would work. That's something I was reading a while back, that Sony has different deals with like the Japanese government that from a national security perspective, I don't think they could be acquired by an American company. I forget the whole process on that, but that's besides the point. When you look at this from a deal in Microsoft's assets, right, and their cash on hand, they could theoretically keep all of these games exclusive, but having seen what happened with Sony and having Spider-Man exclusive, it makes me wonder if Microsoft learned from that perspective and takes more of a consumer-friendly approach to say, we're going to put certain games like the Elder Scrolls series, Fallout, all of that, because of their success on multiple platforms, let those go onto other consoles because consumers are used to that.
It's just more money for Xbox. If they own the studio, they make money selling games on other people's platforms.
Exactly.
Why not?
And they're pushing Game Pass. So I don't think they're necessarily, and we've talked about this before, we talked about Danica and all that, they're not really looking to push consoles for, I mean, they want to push consoles.
They want to push
money.
Game Pass.
But yeah, they want to push Game Pass. They want, Microsoft.
I think they want to get like 200 million
yeah.
subscribers or something is their goal.
They want to be like the place to play games, and it makes total sense. But at the same time, like, say PlayStation Now goes away or some deal kicks in where they're like, hey, Sony, like, we'll sell you Game Pass on your console and people have access to Xbox games because they're going to pay for it.
You'll have access to it on your phone.
Yeah, so you got access on your phone. You're going to have access on, well, not Apple devices, but likely various tablets.
Amazon's Luna? I can't remember what it's called. They have like a game streaming service that they figured out how to get around that whole iOS issue and just make it a browser accessible thing instead of an app to begin with. So if you just access the service through the browser instead of making an app version, apparently that just bypasses all that stuff anyway. So good on Amazon for finding that one.
Well, of course, Amazon would be the one to find a loophole, right? So, yes, I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at this acquisition, I don't see this necessarily as a bad thing for the gaming industry. Obviously, Microsoft has needed exclusives, or at least something to draw consumers over. Their adoption rate has not been good compared to, Sony or Nintendo in recent years. So it would make sense for them to acquire a large company like ZeniMax and have Bethesda on there.
Well, and I think
but like, dude, so like historically, when you look at like the Minecraft, the acquisition of having the Minecraft property, those games are on other consoles.
Yeah.
You can play them wherever. So you have fanboys from both sides, saying, oh, well, it's only going to be exclusive. I hate Bethesda anyways, blah, blah, blah. I know, haha, Sony fanboys, you don't get this. But you look at the historical figures and what Microsoft has done, it would only make sense for them to, release this on multiple consoles. Like, why hold that back from consumers if you're trying to push Game Pass? Like, why do that? That makes no sense. And, of course, there's the whole aspect of, say it does get released on PS4. You could still market to people and say that it's available on PS4 for $70 or buy Game Pass and have a monthly, cost tied to Oblivion, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 6.
Imagine never having to buy Skyrim again, but having it available on multiple platforms.
Yeah, I saw the meme recently. It was like,
you
Bethesda
play Skyrim on your phone.
Well, no, like Bethesda saying like, well, if you don't want us to make Skyrim anymore, don't buy it. And then it has like, basically Xbox a tweet saying, yeah, we bought Bethesda so they would stop selling so many Skyrim copies.
I mean, there's something about this acquisition too, like the branding of like id and the branding of maybe not necessarily Elder Scrolls, but like the branding of at least I guess not to me for Elder Scrolls, but like the branding of Fallout and some of these other series, like,
well, you have Doom on there as another
they
one.
look like
Evil
things
Within,
that
Prey.
would be on Xbox, like that whole Xbox like attitude, and they're kind of like just the way that I've always seen them advertised and how I view them. Like those companies and those properties seem very at home on Xbox, so it doesn't really surprise me that it doesn't seem like as big a deal as it is. It doesn't seem like it's really shaking anything up.
Well, and the other thing is,
like, not for a few more years, like until like who knows what those companies have in the pipelines right now. Like I know there's like what is it, like Starfield or something?
Yeah, it was
is a game that they're developing.
Yeah, and Sony was actually like in talks to try and get that exclusive to PS4 or PS5.
It's not going to matter as much for the next couple years, but like, man, come 2023, like, it's going to be a really big deal if some of these amazing long-running studios start taking away. Like, Sony's going to have to start thinking right now about picking up some interesting titles from some interesting creators or making them themselves, you know, to combat what's going to be coming in the future, probably for the second wave. Like the second wave of consoles, once we get the Xbox Series XX version and the Xbox Series XL version, or whatever they're going to call them. Like, there's going to be something, and those are going to be pushing some crazy new stuff that is only going to be on Xbox.
Yeah, and PCs. So, in the way that PC gaming is going currently with the 30 series cards and eventually the 6000 series that's coming from AMD, at this point, like, why buy an Xbox? Because I'm going to have the PC set up. But it makes sense because, you want
to... I don't want to spend that money.
Yeah, on a PC, so it totally makes sense.
Save that money.
Yeah, so, and we'll see how many games I actually play on PC. A lot of it's, tied to the fact that having our video and audio type stuff and having a computer that's capable of running that, along with the fact that I want to be able to play some games that are on Xbox. So... let's jump into our console stuff, dude.
PS3 starter kit showdown.
So we'll jump in really quick, just kind of that time with the console, right? Like, when did we start, with the PlayStation 3? When did we get it? A little story behind that. So for me, the PlayStation 3, I bought it at full price. And yeah, it was a dumb decision, but at the same time, it was so many years ago.
Launch day?
No, I didn't buy it launch day because it was sold out. At least where I was
$600.
It was $600. I didn't have the money at the time, so I was actually working a part-time job when I was 17. Was I 17? I don't remember. I might have been younger than that. So I was working a part-time job on the side, collecting as much money as I could to save up for this PlayStation 3, and of course I was saving up for TV at the same time. As you probably know, 1080p TVs at that point were running quite a hefty dollar at that point in time. So really what I ended up doing is just saving a ton of money, and it was probably, and I was looking forward to the launch too, so it's not like I started like right when it launched. So I would say it was probably a week or so after the fact, I picked up my PlayStation 3. I made sure I got the backwards compatible 60 gigabyte version, specifically because I wanted to play my PlayStation 2 and 1 titles on that console and wouldn't have to worry about loading up my PS2. And the first game that I purchased on that console was Halvesies with my brother, which I happen to have it with me, which was Resistance Fall of Man. And we played so much Resistance. We obviously beat the campaign, played a lot of it online. We were actually really flipping good at that game back when it was a big deal. And the next game that we ended up buying was Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PlayStation 3 as well. I think it's Sons of the Patriots, if I recall. So... yeah, those were the two games that were like key for us. And then, of course, over time, consistently played PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 games on there. Primarily, actually, I played those games because of the backwards compatibility. And at some point in time, that console yellow lighted, and I ended up picking up a PlayStation Slim, like the Super Slim. So I think I've got the 500 gigabyte model, and I've had that one ever since. So that's what I've always played on. And the benefit of the PlayStation 3, and a lot of people don't know this, oddly enough, all PlayStation 3s are backwards compatible with PlayStation 1 games, like throughout. Like, there's a few that aren't for whatever reason, but the bulk of PlayStation 1 games are compatible with every PlayStation 3 console. So whenever somebody's like, what game are you playing on PS1? Like, I'm always playing on my PS3. There's no reason in hell for me to put on a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 1. Like, I'm going to sit on my couch, play my JRPGs and whatnot from PS1, and relax. So that's really the overall story there on my front. How did you discover the PlayStation 3?
So I was not a PS3er to begin with. I went full on with the 360, and I loved it for many years. And I don't even think I thought about getting a PS3 until after I graduated from high school in 2008. So it had already been out for a couple years before I got one, and I was thinking about it. I'm pretty sure I got a used PS3 because I know that I did I bought in 2 PS3s, both from GameStop, and both times I got the buy 2 get 1 free game deal at the same time. So I walked out of there like with a pretty good deal in hand. So the first time I got Little Big Planet, Resistance, and The Last of Us.
Nice. That's a good
And
set.
I was not a big fan of any of those games.
What?
I never played like any of those games very much. And
killing me, dude.
I mean, was it The Last of Us? When did The Last of Us come out? Was that an early life game?
No, that was definitely a late life game. Or at least for me, I played it late in the life of the PlayStation 3. I played it probably a year before they released a remastered version, funny enough.
So that was in 2013?
Yes, that's 7 years into the life cycle. Because the
So-
PS3 came out in 2006.
Yeah, so I got a PS3 pretty late then, I think. If I got Resistance, Last of Us, and
They're all good
Little
games,
Big
though.
Planet.
It's a shame you didn't like those.
yeah, I don't know. I tried Resistance. I like the aesthetic of Resistance. I thought that was pretty cool because it's like World War II, but with aliens or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I remember there being something funky about like the life system. I wasn't a big fan. Like I was just coming from Call of Duty Modern Warfare and playing stuff like that. So I think it just played way different. And I just didn't want to make the adjustment in my mind. But I ended up not having it for super long because I had to sell it to get rent at some point. And then I went a long time without it. And then when the GTA 5 bundle came out, I bought that and I got it with Ni no Kuni, the God of War collection, and the Zona Anders collection. So I got like 9 games and a console, like all at once. Pretty good deal. And that's the PS5 that I still have now.
PS3.
PS3 that I still have now.
I wish I had a PS5 back then.
GTA 5. I was reading GTA 5 and saying PS5 instead of PS3.
Isn't that scary? You're like, I bought GTA 5 on the PlayStation 3, and we're like, GTA 5 on the PlayStation 5. Like,
I know, it was like the first game they announced.
Oh my god. Like, come on.
That game is long-lived, my friends. So, the PS3 is just like, it's one of those consoles that,
It's not as close to you as like the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 1 might have been.
yeah, like I really have appreciated the time with my PS3 much less than I appreciated my time with the PS4, or I mean with the Xbox 360. Like I loved my Xbox 360. I played it all the time. Like it's probably balanced out over the years because I stopped playing my 360 like a long time ago. Like probably at least a year before I even got the PS3 again.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't played the Xbox in so long that the PS3 is like, it's aged in a better way for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't ever have like a technical problem. Like I did get a red ring on my 360, and I think that the console library and the amount of stuff that I played and the amount of stuff that I love, like God of War being on there, you know, some of those games are the ones that it's like, wow, like, and looking back at things that I still haven't played, like the original Dark Souls and Demon Souls and stuff, like some of these things that are on the PS3 just really elevated up to be better than the 360. And I think if I couldn't appreciate it back then, I can definitely appreciate it looking back now.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, obviously the PS3 is a little closer for me. Not so much as the PS2. PS2 was just like a monster console.
Well, I mean, those
what it
were
had.
really formative years for us growing up.
Yeah.
Just the time we were at in our lives.
Yeah.
And also I mean, be honest, like the PS2, like, was like the biggest kick to gaming since like the Super Nintendo. Like it changed the marketplace again.
Well, and you look at, for our generation, the PlayStation 3 and 360 came out like right when we were finishing up that high school age, going into college and dealing with all that. Totally new experiences. So when you consider like how often were we playing video games versus like we were hanging out with friends,
I remember,
or we were going out to parties or something. Like,
yeah,
it totally makes sense, especially, you know, that connection. Like we had other stuff going on in our lives that it's not going to be as prominent as the PlayStation 1 when we were kids, and the PlayStation 2 when we were like middle school, and then jumping into late high school, college for this one. Like the PS4, obviously it's full adulthood that we're playing this thing, and we can buy whatever the hell we want for the most part and play it whenever we want. And that's a little different. PlayStation 3 is kind of in that area of, okay, it was there. It was there and we played it. Same with the 360.
So what are some standout titles? Like, it not even like some of my standout titles aren't even things that I played. Like, I've never really played any of the Metal Gear games. I played a little bit of Metal Gear Solid, but like Metal Gear 4 on
that was an experience.
PS3, like just watching that trailer. Like when I worked at Target at the time when the PS3 was out and stuff in the electronics department. So I got to see like all the ad reels for everything. And it's like that game, more than any other PS3 game, made me want a PS3. Like I wanted to see those slick graphics, and I've never even played it, but like I just remember just drooling over that game.
So all of my standout titles are going to be in the in my actual collector total here. So we can jump into that.
I mean, we could just go straight in.
Yeah.
We could go into it. So John, why don't we lay it down? So the PS3 starter kit, we're going to say, because there are tons of different versions of the PlayStation 3, folks. Let's be honest. It's hard to nail down exactly how much you'll pay for which console, but if you're patient and prudent, you should be able to get a PlayStation 3 for $100. You might not get 2 controllers with it. You might pay an extra $20 and get 3 extra controllers and a stack of games. Like, it's all over the place out there, but we're going to say as a baseline, we're going to do $100 for the console and then $100 for each of our game collections.
Yeah, trying to keep it as affordable as possible on this type of console. And, you know, to Ryan's point, look locally. You can find these consoles for $100 all day long on local sites like Craigslist and whatnot, and even Facebook Marketplace. I found several consoles in the past on there that have ended up working out for me. So, PlayStation 3, of course, if you have the opportunity, I would say the Super Slim. That is my preferred one over the Slim. It does have the PlayStation 1 backwards compatibility, and it has a much larger hard drive, and it's a little more condensed. So you're looking at, you know, potentially a 500 gigabyte, 250 gigabyte hard drive, you know, sitting in this console, and very small, a top loader type of disk drive. So it's just easy to get to your game. You don't have to worry about it loading in and out. It's just my preferred method. So I would say for my games, dude, it's more or less going to be based on experiences. So in no particular order here, and some of mine here, I think there's one or two. There's one that I haven't played on here. So the first one I'll say is The Darkness. And this particular game, I had a blast with. It even got me so involved in it that I bought the comic book series. Like, literally every comic book of The Darkness I have in my collection.
That was another one of those games that I always thought looked really cool and never played.
Yeah, so I thought The Darkness was a pretty flippin' awesome game. You know, it's been some years since I played it. However, with The Darkness, you're able to, of course, control the darkness. And you have these crazy minions and things that allow you to go through different parts of the game and kill certain enemies, and different types of ability, obviously manipulating the darkness. And so I truly enjoyed that game. It has really a first-person shooter type aspect to it, so that's kind of nice. And it's cheap. So The Darkness, let me pull it up here, Ryan, is sitting at, and I'm doing loose, by the way, again, because, you know, you're going to be doing complete in box, and we're taking that nostalgia versus...
John's a bad collector, folks.
No,
he's a great collector in real life, but
yeah.
he doesn't feel the need to tell you how to buy games with cases efficiently.
I need the cases, Ryan. No, so
I see. So you want all these people to buy loose discs so you can get cheap cases.
They buy the loose games, and I get cheap cases.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, so... Well, of course I'll hear it here first. It's our podcast. So... I say from a loose disc perspective, if you are not looking to really collect cases per se, and you want to keep it slimmed down, and you want to have a nice, you know, CD case or DVD case.
If you love spindles.
Yeah, if you love spindles, you know, that type of stuff, and you're not super involved in, I have to have all my games on a shelf, this is definitely the way to go. It's going to be a cheaper option, and there's a lot of options available. So that game sits at about $8. My next game, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, not Sons of the Patriots. And so that one in particular is one of my all-time favorite games. It was a cinematic masterpiece at the time. The stealth in that game was amazing. The graphics were amazing at the time. And then what is like an hour or 2 hour long cutscene or something, like playable cutscene in a sense, at the end of a game. It's a fantastic game. Overall, the story was mind-blowing for me when it happened. The graphics were mind-blowing. Just the gameplay was mind-blowing. Like, it was, I would say, one of Kojima's best games ever. Like, that was just a phenomenal game. And so I would say at the $5.55 that you could pick up a loose copy, you would not be doing yourself a disservice. I paid $50 when it came out. So that hasn't aged well for me. The next one that I've got on my list here that every single person that loves RPG should play is Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch.
Okay, I've got that too.
Yeah, I know you have to have that one. So if you like...
me and John are both a sucker for some Ghibli.
Yeah, if you love some Ghibli style anime, and you love RPGs, and you love a good wholesome story, and you like monster collecting, look no further.
It's got a really fun combat system where you collect these monsters that evolve, and they will sometimes have like different branching evolutions, so you can get like one that's more specifically tailored to your style or one to another, and they're all really wonderful designs.
Well, and it's like Pokemon, so you can level them up and they evolve into different types of monsters. It's insane. And
it's got kind of a dynamic, active battle system where you're more in control than not in control. It's not like your typical Pokemon where it's just choose an option on a list.
Yeah, and we'll call them familiars, because then if somebody's out there going to be like, oh, well, you didn't call them familiars, you call them monsters. They're still monsters, but they're familiars.
They look like monsters.
Yeah, they look like monsters. So, yeah, you got your familiars, and you progress through an amazing story, like a time paradox type story in a sense, where you're going through alternate worlds to really, save the world. And it is unbelievable. Like, you have got to hands down
amazing
play this game.
cutscenes, great voice acting.
Oh yeah, phenomenal. And of course it's on PlayStation 4 as well. They release a remastered versions on there, so if you don't have a PlayStation 3 but you got a PS4, still check it out. It's totally worth it. That game's sitting at about $8 right now.
See, I got complete in box for the greatest hits, $7.50. Booyah.
He beat me there, guys. He beat me there. So I just went
beat you
loose.
with a box.
I'm sure
and
if
a
I
pamphlet.
Let's see. If I put in, it's $2 more. I'm just messing around my pricing here. That one right there, complete in box, would be too much. So at the end of the day, it balances out, folks. Ryan can have his 50 cents extra for a box. We'll keep it loose. Next one I've got is Heavenly Sword. So this is a Team Ninja game. Absolutely loved it. It got me into their games in particular. So when Senua's Sacrifice came out, I remembered all the fun I had with Heavenly Sword. Super short game, super underrated, great combat system, great visuals once again on that. I don't remember character names. I think it was like Nadiko or Nakito. I don't remember her name, but it was a blast. I absolutely played it. I want to say that one's a PlayStation exclusive. So check it out.
Was it a launch title?
I don't, you know what? I think it might have been a launch title or
a
close
very
to
early
launch.
on.
Yeah, it was an early on title, I feel. So I enjoyed it. So definitely check out Heavenly Sword. Watch some videos on that one. You'll be impressed. It's definitely a good one for the PlayStation 3.
Came out the next year, September 2007.
Yeah, so technically early on. That one's sitting at about $7.25. I'm not going to go too deep into these, but you got to play them. They do have remasters, of course, on the PlayStation 4, and wouldn't surprise me if on the PlayStation 5. But Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, Uncharted 2, Among Thieves, and Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception.
Did you put all three of those games separately on your
literally
list?
put all three. Well, I don't think they had a combo series on the
Okay.
PlayStation 3.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, so those are all sitting at about like $4 a pop, and you can find those for like $5 to $6 with like a case with no issue and free shipping. So I know that for a fact because I sold one recently. But all three of those games, absolutely phenomenal. The story of Nathan Drake and him going through like the treasure hunting. It's male Tomb Raider. I always feel with that. It's a blast. There's a lot of comedy in there. There's a lot of great characters. The controls are fantastic. Like, that is one of Naughty Dog's best franchises. I would say it's probably the best franchise they have.
It was tough not putting that on this list
Yeah,
just because it is so iconic as a PlayStation 3 game. Like, I remember all of those very specifically tied to like sitting around on the PlayStation.
Yeah, and that's one that I can tell you the story behind that one was one of my friends was buying, like, I already had a PlayStation 3, and one of my friends was looking to purchase a PlayStation 3, and it was Black Friday. So he was like, I'm going to buy a PlayStation 3 and a ton of games. Let's sit back, let's play them in our dorm room, and just hang out for like the weekend. And that's what we did. And the one that he booted up was Uncharted. And we just straight up played Uncharted for hours upon hours. I just remember going to my buddy back home when I came back for like Christmas time saying, dude, you've got to play this game. Like, I had borrowed it from my other friend, and we beat that game within like the weekend. Like, we were just nonstop playing it. It was absolutely insane how much time we spent, and I think we easily pulled an all-nighter that weekend. But it was just nonstop. And it was like, if I wasn't playing it, he was playing it. If he wasn't playing it, my brother was playing it.
Yep.
We just all the way through. That. So yeah, we loved Uncharted. We had a blast with it, and it obviously set it up for me to continue playing them. I should probably play the one with the female characters here. I forget the name of it offhand. And that one's on PS4. Another one I played, and this is going to fall into Ryan territory because I didn't beat it, was Nier. And the reason I didn't beat Nier was...
You have to beat Nier like 3 times or something.
Well, here's my thing with Nier, though. So the reason I didn't beat Nier is because I was in the middle of it, and my game yellow lighted, or my system yellow lighted, so I couldn't finish it. And I just never got back to playing it. I absolutely loved Nier. It was a fantastic game. And so I would highly recommend that based on when I was playing it. I don't remember character names, of course. I do remember the open world type aesthetic that was tied to it. I remember the visuals were fantastic when I was playing that game. Probably not so much anymore, but it was amazing what I was playing. And I just remember being so enveloped in that game, and then to only be so disappointed when my console yellow lighted. And I was playing that simultaneously actually with God of War 3. So when I wasn't doing Nier, I was playing God of War 3. And yeah, it sucked that I didn't get to beat it, and I really want to, because Nier, what is it, Automata, I think is... Automata is the other title that's out there, and I really want to play that down the road.
I think they just announced a new one, too.
Yeah, I think they did. So, we'll see. But this one's actually getting... Nier 1 is actually kind of on the pricier side. A loose copy sitting at $22 for that game. So, I've got 2 complete in box, and they sit at about $30 a pop. So, that's one that when it was like super cheap, I was like, I need to buy multiple copies of this for whatever reason, because I figured it would go up, and at some point I'd have an extra copy, just in case. The next game that I've got on my list is Little Big Planet.
I got that one on here too.
Oh my god, dude. The level creation mechanics of Little Big Planet and the online community when that game first came out were phenomenal. There were so many Ghibli levels that people made. It was crazy. I remember doing that. I made a Michael Jackson's Dungeon level, which was absolutely hilarious, and it got permabanned pretty quick after that. But there were some super creative levels with that game. So Media Molecule did a fantastic job with that game, really opened it up for games like Little Big Planet 2 and 3, and of course Dreams as well. So I loved it. I had a blast. I need to play some of the more recent ones and truly get into it again. The next one, and I'm going to have to reach on my shelf to confirm here which games are on it, but the Journey Collector's Edition. So, and Little Big Planet, by the way, is sitting at $6.35 loose. Journey Collector's Edition, you're looking at Flower, Flow, and of course Journey. And that game is sitting at, or that collection is sitting at $13.40. Flow is okay. It wasn't one of my favorites. Journey, I felt, was an artistic masterpiece, and I truly enjoyed that game. Like, I love that game. It was so good. I beat it, I think, within a day. Like, it's super short. And the same with Flower. Flower was okay. It wasn't that same type of experience as Journey, because you're literally just flying as a flower or floating and getting different colors and creating like these giant storms of flowers as you progress. Journey was good. I definitely enjoyed it. And I don't think it's Subnautica. It's another one, I think, by the same company. I forget. Maybe it is Subnautica.
No.
It's the other one. There's an ocean one.
It's
I don't remember.
Azul or something?
Yeah, like Azul, or it's AZUL, I think. There might be an E at the end. But those types of games I've always enjoyed, because like there's no major story tied into it. It's just sit back, play the game and like enjoy the visual components, and that's what Journey was to me.
It's like a walking simulator with artistic
Yeah, and some puzzle
styling behind the actual gameplay.
Yeah, with some puzzle
as
type
opposed
elements.
to just the narrative.
Yeah, so that's one you should definitely put in your collection. And the last one here, which I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people on the outside being like, yep, 100% needs to be in a collection at this point in time, is I've got 3D Dot Game Heroes. Now, this is one that I haven't played, but from what I've been told, it's like a 3D 8-bit version of Zelda. Like, it's, I wouldn't say a Zelda killer, right? But it's got that same type of style, and if you like those types of games, you're going to like 3D Dot Game Heroes.
It's madness.
I've heard a lot of positive things about this game. I haven't fully played it. I've seen plenty of trailers, of course. I own a copy. I think I own 2 copies. I think it's worth a pickup. Like, this is a game that down the road, you're going to look at it and say, I really wish I would have listened to the Game Deflators and picked up a copy of this game while it was still in the cheap. So if you want a complete in-box copy, it's sitting at like $30. Loose is sitting at 18. I can see this game
You think the sky's the limit?
I think this game over time is one that, unless it's remade, this is a game that will likely, you know, go up in value down the road, and it's going to be one that people do seek out. So that's my whole deal. My whole thing came out to, I'd say, $101 was what so I went a little bit over budget on that. But what's a dollar? What's $1.50? You know.
Hey, that's okay. I'm gonna be $1.50 under. I'll take your change.
There we go. Yeah. So if you bought both of our collections and 2 PS3s, you'd be set. So I'll pass it on to you, man, and let's hear.
How many games was that total?
That was 11 games total.
Okay. Let's see how I can stack up here, folks. So my list is way different, except for the Little Big Planet and Ni no Kuni. So we're going to start off with a double pack. Coming in at $9.43, you get yourself a killer deal on a complete in-box copy of Borderlands 2 and Dishonored. Both like really good titles. Like, I was looking at Borderlands 1 for here because I remember how great that game was. But I mean, Borderlands 2 is just so much better than 1, and 1 really isn't that necessary. Like, I mean, they're all pretty loose. Like, you don't really need to play any one of the Borderlands before playing another, but like the art style, all the guns, all the co-op potential, like all the replayability with the different characters. Like, I played through most of Borderlands 2 like at least twice, and I probably started it at least 3 or 4 other times because it's so good.
And Dishonored is a good choice. I like that game.
I've never played Dishonored, but everything that I know about Dishonored is incredible, and it's definitely a game that, like, you know, if you're just starting out and you don't have any of these games, these are all going to be solid games for you to play. Like, I'm looking at not necessarily somebody who's like, if you've played these games in the past on the 360, this might not be a good starter. But if you're like 15, and you've got $100 to buy a bunch of games, buy these games. John's games, no. So let us know in the comments who's got the better list.
John, of course.
And next up, coming in at $6.36, complete in box, BioShock, people. This was the day, this was the era, this was the time that we all got to know and love the City of Rapture and its crazy inhabitants, and have this dual wielding guns and magic back from, you know, whatever genre this evolved from. I guess was like more like System Shock and a lot of deeper games. This kind of streamlined it, made it a little less involved and a little less over the top like some of those older computer, more simish games were. Like, this put all the action in your hands, beautiful storytelling, immaculate world building, and just like, can't get enough BioShock. BioShock's great.
BioShock was going to be on my list, and then I remembered they released a whole like collection on the PlayStation 4. So it was like, you know, like, you can get a whole collection of all of the games for like $20 complete. I was like, do I want to add it? Do I not? Now, obviously, before anybody like shits on me about it, yes, I added Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, and there's the Uncharted collection, but I didn't want to add too many of these. Like, BioShock would have made my list if it was only on that generation.
I mean, there's stuff like 3 games that I had on my list that I took off my list were Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Skyrim, and Resident Evil 5, because it's like there's so many games that came out for this console, but I have a feeling that a lot of it kind of starts to feel like it looks the same to me just because I've been exposed to it for so long. So I had to kind of trim some of the stuff that I was like, this is kind of like this and this is kind of like that. And I try to build these lists with like a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah, and one thing to consider is there's over 1,000 PlayStation 3 games released in North America. So yeah, to put this down to like 10 or 11 is absolutely difficult.
Next up, this one's super cheap, $4.06 for a game that I put like 130 hours into in a single month. Destiny for the PS3. That's where it originally started. I don't even know if you could play on PS3 anymore.
Probably not.
But I mean, you don't need to play online with other people until you get into like the late game.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the servers are still up, I don't know, because they did remake this game and re-release it for PS4. I never played it on PS4. I was a PS3 person, and this was the game to play.
So there is like a campaign component to it, though?
Oh, yeah.
So why would you need to play with people online to get the campaign? Do you have the ability to call people in to help you, or?
I mean, well, you go into like live zones.
Oh, okay.
And you could see people running around.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, so then you probably go into those live zones and be empty for the most part.
Yeah, because like the campaign is not like PvE. Like there's a PvP mode.
Yeah.
Where you go in and do like battle arena and stuff. So you're not like out there running around. But like they have like live events that happen where it's like everybody will run over to do this like random event that's happening at this time. But I spent so much time with that game. It's a great shooter. It's like a great one of my first really remembering of like that type of genre, that live service genre coming out. And they were like, you're going to be playing this game for 7 years. It's like I felt like I could have. I put so much time in that first month. Like I was like, oh, this is a lot. This is a heavy game.
If you would have put that much time, folks, into Persona, be a totally different conversation right now.
Next up.
How much are these costing all the way? So you said $4
That was
for that
$4.
Okay.
Next up, $5.94, complete in box. Batman Arkham Asylum, Game of the Year edition.
That's a good one.
This is a good one. This is a game I completed this game. I did all the Riddler stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I did all the stuff in this game.
I just beat it.
This was a super fun game. Like that whole being Batman. Like never have I any superhero really. Like I've never played a superhero game where you felt like the character more than this one. Except, I mean, we didn't play that much of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was going to say Spider-Man.
That's supposed to be a good one, but a lot of what came from that Spider-Man was built off of the architecture of like what they did with the Batman, like that, like crowd control combat where you just kind of go in the direction and like everything looks super cool. Like, and exploring Arkham is so fun. All the Easter eggs that are in this game, like this game really has Batman just bleeding out of every edge of it. And for $6 complete in box, I mean, it's Game of the Year, but still, that's fine. Next up, I'm surprised John didn't mention this one, talking about story games. You know, there's a lot of really good story games on PlayStation 3. You didn't have Last of Us on your list, did you?
Well, and again, like I would have added Last of Us to my list, but because it's on PlayStation 4, it wouldn't make sense for me to add it because there's a remastered version. It's like $10.
So there is another really well-known story game on PS3.
Which one?
Heavy Rain.
Oh man, see that was another one, dude, because I want to say they had a combo pack of Heavy Rain,
and whatever that other
Detroit
game was.
Becoming Human, and I want to say it's Beyond Two Souls is the other one.
Yeah.
They have a pack that's out there on PS4. So again, that's another one that like I would have.
Good thing we're not doing a PS4 list.
Yeah, if we did, I'd probably be adding. I wouldn't even add those.
You would just be adding games from the remakes from older consoles.
Oh, well, I was going to add like Silent Hill collection here of 2 and 3, and I'm like,
and
no,
I told you that those aren't PlayStation 3 games
because they're technically not. So like, I guess I could have added stuff like Heavy Rain and Last of Us, but I could save that for the PS4.
Well, you could get Heavy Rain Director's Cut for $485 complete inbox.
Seriously?
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, wow.
That's a good one for your collection. You could run around calling out for, what's the kid's name?
I don't remember.
Michael!
Is
that what it is?
I don't remember, dude, but that game was so good. That was a good game. I remember playing that one.
Next up, John, come on, man. Dark Souls. Dark Souls, complete inbox, $8.07. It's not Demon Souls that started it off, but man, Dark Souls really got that train going.
And see, I was gonna say Demon Souls, but I'm like, they're releasing a new one on PS5. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Like,
John, this is a list about PlayStation 3 games.
I know.
You gotta put PlayStation 3 games on the list.
I know, and I did. I got a pretty good list, but there's so many to choose from, Ryan. Like, there's literally
and you
so
should
many.
have chose Dark Souls. You're the Dark Souls stan here. I've only come into Dark Souls through Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne and a little bit of Sekiro, but man, Dark Souls 1, that's the one that it's like, I've been wanting to play the remake on Switch, but have not committed myself to buying it. I keep hoping John will buy it, and then I can just borrow it from him.
Dark Souls, no, I'm not buying it. I might buy it. Probably not.
So yeah, Dark Souls, greatest hits, $8.07. We already covered Little Big Planet, $7.36. Moving on to page 2. All right. For you fighting game fans out there, this is a good one. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Fate of Two Worlds, $9.99 complete inbox. I played some of this one with my roommate when it was out. It was hard for me to get a handle on the tag team fighting. Like, I prefer like a one-on-one fighter, even though I don't really prefer fighting games at all. But this is a good one. This is a solid one. People got tons and tons of mileage out of this game. There's so many characters. There's so many different combinations of teams and moves, and the game looked really good. Marvel vs. Capcom always has like so much representation from different franchises. You feel like you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So that's in there. That's good.
I never could get into the Marvel games. I've always been more of a Tekken and Virtua Fighter type person, with occasionally going out into like Soul Calibur.
I almost put BlazBlue on here.
Yeah, actually, when you were saying fighting game, I was thinking you were going to say BlazBlue because that seems more up your alley than a Marvel game.
I got BlazBlue, but it's just fighting games are hard for me, and I think more fighting game fans would enjoy this versus BlazBlue. Because if you're going to be like an anime fighter, that's like, its own kind of thing. But Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is like its own thing, like as a whole.
For sure.
Next up, this is one of the more expensive ones, actually the most expensive I have on my list. Not even a game that I've really played, but I know a lot of people really love. I know it's a thinking game, I know it's a hard game, and I know it's sitting right next to John.
I was gonna say Portal at first, but Portal's not that hard. Really, Catherine?
Catherine. People love them some Catherine. People love them some puzzle games. So this is a good one that's like, it'll be on that list, and it'll be that game that once you've played all these other like really mainstay titles, Catherine will pull you back in and show you, you know what? Here's something creative and different and unexpected that you might just love.
You see, I've got the Catherine
Deluxe Edition. That comes with the underwear.
Yeah, Love is Over. I don't know if the underwear are in here because I did pick it up secondhand. They might be.
Hopefully they're not used.
I definitely have, I definitely have the t-shirt, and I definitely have the body pillow and a pizza box, of course, that it comes in, but I need to check if I've got the boxers.
So next up, $11.13, the biggest selling piece of franchise media ever made, Grand Theft Auto 5.
I thought you were going to say Tetris.
Like, it was between GTA, like, I like 4 better than 5 personally, and Red Dead is really good and also on PS3, but like, you could still play Grand Theft Auto 5 on a PS3 today, I bet, and it's still coming out next year for you could play it probably today still on PS3 with people that are going to be playing it on PS5 next year, I bet.
Do they still have servers open on PS3?
I don't know. I mean, if it's the same game, would they not?
I don't know.
I want to see a game where somebody's playing on PS3, somebody's playing on PS4, and somebody's playing on PS5.
That would be pretty hilarious.
All together.
Yeah, I don't know how to start. I mean, I haven't played PS3 online in
But it's
years.
huge. It's a giant game. It's the most selling game in the world. Like, if you're gonna pick up a PS3, you might as well get this. I got it when I got my PS3. You should too. $6.99 for the next one. Dragon Age Origins. Dragon Age Origins is a Western RPG that's got a lot of new stuff. It was a new IP at the time. It's had many sequels now. I think they're on like 4 coming out soon. But this one really stands out. It really sets the stage for this masterful new fantasy RPG franchise that's done very well for itself, and it made its home on the PlayStation. And I always remember this game, even though I never beat it, obviously, but I did play it. People dig this one. We already covered Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch for $7.50. And coming in last but not least, $6.09. I just played this game like a year or two ago. John's played it before. If you need RPG and you need to laugh your ass off, we've got South Park and the Stick of Truth. South Park and the Stick of Truth is a great game. Gotta have it, gotta love it. It's a good price, $6.09. Like,
did I beat that game?
Rounds my list out.
Did I beat that game? I don't remember if I did. I need to check into that.
So I got 13 games coming in at what is this? $98.99.
13 games at $98.99.
13 games at $98.99.
Yeah, you definitely beat me in terms of
I beat
quantity.
the pants off of you every time at this game, John.
Yeah, don't beat the pants off me. We're on a podcast and we're recording. Okay, so quantity, Ryan got me, right? 13 to my 11. However, quality-wise is a totally different story.
You try to convince these people that 3D Game Heroes is better than GTA 5 all day, John.
No,
I'll
sir.
give you maybe it's in the running with Catherine, but Catherine was cheaper. So
I'm trying to convince people that 3D Game Heroes is a collector type of game. You see?
See, that is true. I did go for the cheap end of stuff. I don't wager that any of this stuff will really go up in price.
Yeah. Now, not all of mine is going to either. Like Heavenly Sword might be one.
Especially when it all gets scratched up and you have to buy the boxes for all of it later.
That's why you don't have kids, Ryan. So, yeah, I think out of mine, the only ones that would potentially go up down the road would maybe be like the Journey Collector's Edition, the 3D Game Heroes, and then the Heavenly Sword are the only ones, and maybe Nier. But Nier is a multi-plat game, so it could. It's not one that maybe wouldn't, but it's not as possible. There's not as high of a probability of it would. So, yeah, I mean, I went for quality, Ryan, not quantity. I think I did pretty well. So, you, of course, tell us in the comments.
Yeah, you're the real deciders.
Yeah, you decide. Let us know via Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So at the Game Deflators on the Instagram and Facebook, and then at Game Deflators on Twitter. And of course, find the episode. I
screwed up.
What'd you screw up on? Did you put too many games, Ryan? Did you lie to these people?
No. I said that Dragon Age Origins was only on PlayStation 3, and that wasn't true at all.
Oh, no, you said it's home on there. I'm like, no, I know it's on the other consoles.
Yeah, so I misspoke there, but I caught myself.
You did catch yourself. A little too late, Ryan. You lied to people. If they cut off 5 minutes ago, then they're going to start thinking that, they can buy it only on PlayStation 3.
Hey, everybody knows I don't know what I'm talking about to begin with. I hope you know that.
You're a Sony fanboy. All right, so... Yeah, so find us on thegamedeflators.com. Find us on all those podcast applications. Leave a 5-star review if you can. Of course, if you're able to, leave 6. I don't think it's possible, but try.
Do your best.
Yeah, do your best. So, no inflation deflation this week because we did talk a lot about PlayStation 3. We will be doing our 100th episode with several podcasters next week. So, again, no inflation deflation on that, but that's going to be a fun episode. And we'll be back on episode 101 with some Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube. We promised to play it a while back. We forgot about it, then jumped back into it today, and we're like, it doesn't make sense to put on the episode. So we'll get you in a couple weeks. Preview on that, I kicked Ryan's ass.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, it was pretty handed. All right, man. Well, I'm going to have to say that ties up episode 99 of the Game Deflators Podcast. We'll, of course, be back for our 100th episode next week, which is insane when you think about how many episodes of this we've done. So it's pretty cool.
Like 100.
Like 100. Well, and some lost episodes are tied in there, you know. So there's a lot of episodes of Game Deflators Podcast. So check those out in our backlog. My name is John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.